Good afternoon, everyone. This is a really important day in the church. Today, on the 24th of September, the church celebrates Our Lady of Walsingham. Now, whenever we say Our Lady in the church, what we're actually referring to, or rather who we're referring to, is Mary, who you can see here in the window of the Lady Chapel. Let me move my camera around so you can see her a little bit better. There she is, just there. So that's our window here at St. Thomas's to remember Our Lady, Mary, and the baby Jesus. And this is a really important message and image for Christians. Now, with Our Lady, very often she appears to people in visions. And throughout history, there have been very special places where Mary has appeared to people and asked them to do particular things. You may have heard of the place in France called Lourdes, where Mary appeared to Bernadette, and people went and visited there and were miraculously cured of their illnesses and diseases. And people still go there today seeking that same healing miracle. But today, Our Lady of Walsingham is particularly important for those of us who live in England, because Walsingham is a place in England. It's in Norfolk, and it's a tiny, tiny village. And the story of Our Lady of Walsingham begins in the year 1061, 959 years ago. So a long time ago. There's a long history of Our Lady of Walsingham in this country. And it starts with a lady called Lady Rocheldis. Now, Lady Rocheldis was a noblewoman. She was a landowner. She was quite wealthy. And in 1061, she had 3 dreams about Mary. And Mary appeared in these dreams and told her to do certain things. Mary said to Lady Rocheldis, "I want you, on your land, to build a copy of my house in Nazareth. I want you to build a replica of my house, to be a place of welcome, so that people can enter in to my house, even though they're in England and not all the way over in the Holy Land. I want them to be able to come here as a place of hospitality and welcome." And so Lady Rocheldis began to build a copy of the house that Mary had lived in thousands of years ago. Now, the second thing that Mary told Lady Rocheldis in a vision was to go to a particular part of her land, a corner of the estate that Lady Rocheldis owned. And she said, "If you dig here, you will find water. You'll find a well." Now, there had been no well here previously that anyone knew about. If there was a well, it was very well hidden. And so Lady Rocheldis and some workers went to the corner where she had dreamed that this well would be. And they started to dig. And they dug a bit further and a bit further. And there they found water bubbling up from the ground. And a well was established. And the water was really pure water, good water to drink. And people began to come from all over the place to drink the water, to seek healing, and to give thanks for Our Lady of Walsingham and what she had told. And the third thing that Lady Rocheldis was told was to ensure that everyone who visits is welcomed and told this story about Our Lady of Walsingham, about the house and the welcome that the house provides, and the well and the healing and good water that it provides. And so Lady Rocheldis did all these things, and a shrine was established. Now, when we have a shrine, that's a very important place. It's a bit like a church. It's a place where people come to specifically on a pilgrimage to pray. And people will travel from miles around to go to the shrine. And the shrine at Our Lady of Walsingham in Norfolk has continued its place in the history of our country for a long time, until Henry VIII. And Henry VIII destroyed the shrine, but it has now been rebuilt, and we can still visit the shrine of Our Lady of Walsingham. And Mary is depicted in all sorts of different ways. You might see her sometimes standing like this. You might see her carrying Jesus. And she has a different picture, a different depiction of herself, depending on where she's appeared and what she's trying to teach us. And so there is a very special image, which when you see it, you know is Our Lady of Walsingham. And that looks a bit like this. So here we are. This is Our Lady of Walsingham. I'll bring her a bit closer so you can see. She's sitting on a throne. This is the seat of wisdom, showing that Mary is close to God and therefore has wisdom and understanding. She is carrying the child Jesus. You can see him with his halo on here, and he is pointing the way towards heaven, towards where God is. And the most important thing about this depiction of Mary, can you see where her hand is just down here? She is pointing towards Jesus. So whenever we think about Mary, and particularly Our Lady of Walsingham, she points the way to Jesus, and Jesus in turn points the way to heaven. So Mary is there to show us the right way to go. And so today we celebrate the feast of Our Lady of Walsingham. We remember the story of Mary appearing to Lady Rocheldis, and most importantly, we remember that Our Lady points the way to Jesus, and Jesus points the way to heaven. See you all very soon. Have a good afternoon and a good weekend.